You've got your 9 to 5. You clock in, you do your thing, get that steady paycheck every 2 weeks. But then after hours, you're hustling. You're probably doing hair, photography, Uber Lyft, content creation, e-commerce, trading, building a small business on the side. Well, here's the problem. See, come tax season, that second stream of income might hit you with a surprise bill if you don't prepare. So today, we're going to talk about how W-2 employees with side hustles can prepare for tax season, what forms you'll need, how to avoid underpayment penalties, and how to keep the IRS off your back while keeping more of what you make. Welcome to another episode of Millennial Gems. I am your host, AKILA, and today it's about you W-2 workers and side hustlers and how to do proper tax preparation. We're not going to waste no time. We're going to get right into it. So the first thing I wanted to address is understanding the two income trap, right? So let's start with what most people get wrong. When you work a regular W-2 job, your employer automatically withholds taxes for you. Social Security, Medicare, federal, state, all of those are withheld on your paycheck. Easy. But when you earn side hustle income, none of those four are withheld. So whether you get paid from Cash App, Stripe, PayPal, Venmo Business, Zelle Business, there's no automatic withholding. That's called self-employment income. Hasn't been taxed yet. And if you don't plan for it, the IRS is going to come knocking at the door at the end of the year saying, yo, where's my cut? You know Uncle Sam wants his. You know, most people might think that it's just a few $100s here and there. Doesn't matter. A few $1,000s go unreported. That can push you into a higher tax bracket or cost you refund money you were expecting. So the step one is understanding your side hustle makes you both an employee and a business owner. All right, the next thing I wanted to address is the paperwork you're going to need. So here are some of the tax forms you should expect, right? So the obvious one from your job is the W-2, which reports all your wages and withholdings. Now, from a side hustle perspective, you have Form 1099 NEC, which is non-employee compensation. And that's if, a business paid you $600 or more. $600 is the threshold. If you were paid $600 or more, you're getting issued a 1099 NEC. And then you have your Form 1099K. And this comes from credit card payments. So if people are using, again, their credit card, debit card, if they're sending you money that essentially isn't cash, you're going to get a 1099K. And I believe the threshold for that is $5,000, I think. But even if you're not issued a 1099, you still need to report your income. And then when you file, all of your self-employment numbers have to flow through a Schedule C. Schedule C is just a form that shows your profit or loss from a business. And then you have your Schedule SE, which is your self-employment tax. And so when you're filing taxes as both a W-2 employee and a 1099 contractor, well, essentially, that's what you're filing as both W-2 employee and a 1099 contractor. But that's why I also emphasize why bookkeeping matters so much. Even if you just have a small side hustle, you need to be tracking where every single dollar goes. All right, so the next part I wanted to talk about is how to avoid taxes on your side income. So here's the formula to help stay ahead of the IRS. First one is you need to set aside at least 25 to 30% of your side hustle income for taxes. You see, there's a method out there called Profit First. And what Profit First is, it is you pay yourself first. When money comes in, you pay yourself first. And then whatever's left of that, that's what you use to pay your bills and all the other stuff. See, how we're taught to make and spend our money is we make money, we pay the IRS first, and then we spend whatever's left over. But in Profit First, whatever money comes in, you pay yourself first, allocate it wherever you need to go, and then spend whatever is give the rest of it to expenses and stuff like that. And if you use Novo or any of these other business bank accounts, you probably have to set them up like separately. But Novo, which I mentioned on the last episode, it actually has a section where you can create reserves and you can create different accounts where you can allocate how much money is going to go into that account when you have money flowing in. So everybody should have an income account, an expenses account, a taxes account, and then the rest is kind of up to you. You can have an owner's comp, which is essentially, money that you're going to pay yourself. And then that last one, however, you can set up how many ever accounts you need, but I created a fifth one, and that's my profit investment account. So any money that goes into there, I'm going to put it back into the business to, marketing or whatever I'm going to use that money for. So definitely make sure you're setting apart at least 25 to 30% of your money for taxes. All right, the next thing is you're going to make quarterly estimated payments. Now, the IRS expects you to pay taxes as you go. Now, this is if you are making, I believe it's over 1,000. If you're expected to make 1,000, then I believe it's 1,000 every quarter. But there are 4 different due dates that you have to pay. You have to pay quarterly. And so Q1 payments are due April 15th, which is essentially the same time as when tax season is going to end. You have June 15th, which is for Q2 payments, September 15th, which is for Q3 payments, and then January 15th, which is January 15th of the following year, which will cover all Q4 payments. All right, number 3, you're going to adjust your W-4 at your job. If you hate paying quarterly or don't want to have to pay quarterly, you can increase your withholding at work to cover your side income. Now, how exactly does that help? Well, when you complete your W-4 form, you determine how much federal income tax is withheld from your regular paycheck. So in order to cover the money you make from your side hustle, you can submit a new W-4 form, and I believe there's a step on there that's something that says extra withholding or so, and you can have that, apply that to, you have that applied to your paycheck. And, in this way, it'll probably help you, or will help you cover any other tax obligations without having to deal with the hassle of making quarterly tax payments. The IRS doesn't care which source the tax payments come from, just as long as your total annual payments meet the requirement. All right, and then lastly, like I mentioned on all episodes every single time, and I will continue to reiterate this, track every expense. If you're making money from your side hustle, you are allowed to deduct ordinary and necessary expenses: equipment, supplies, internet, software, mileage, even part of your phone bill. But you need to make sure you're tracking it. So whether you use QuickBooks or you find some app that will help track all of your expenses, all of your spending on your business cards, Do it. Track every single expense. You do these 4 things, you're going to save yourself the headaches and possibly hundreds, maybe even thousands come tax season. All right. So the next we're going to talk about is the hidden advantage of, being both an employee and being a business owner. So here's where you win. As a W-2 employee, you have stability. You got steady income, benefits, maybe a 401k. However, as a business owner, you have a little bit more flexibility. You got write-offs, business deductions, freedom to grow. There's no limit on how much money you can make. So if you combine them, then you got the perfect foundation to build wealth. I learned very early on that your job is your first business partner. And so you should utilize your active income to help build passive income. You should use your job to pay the bills, and then use your hustle to fund your dreams. And if you understand the tax code, it will reward you for both, but you need to understand how to play the game. So while I'm saying that, not everybody is meant to be an entrepreneur. Not everybody wants to take on the challenge of being an entrepreneur. But if you're trying to create wealth, you're not going to want to just have one source of income, as you've probably heard a million times from other people. One source of income is literally close to none. So you can work your job, but you should also find another way to have money flowing while you sleep. Make passive income. And there are multiple different ways to earn income. Obviously, there's the earned income, which is obviously what you make from a job. You got interest income, which comes from if you have like a high yield savings account. You have dividend income if you have stocks that pay dividends. You have capital gains, which is from assets and stocks that are becoming more and more wealthy. You have, let's see, what other sources you have. You have obviously business income. There are so many sources of income, like so many ways to make money. So if you just learn to just play the game, you'll be on your way to wealth. All right, so here are some tools to help keep you organized, right? So if you're trying to juggle a job and a side hustle, you should let technology do the lifting. I mean, obviously, we're in 2025. Tech is essentially running the world at this point. AI is essentially here. So you should be utilizing all of it. So I've mentioned this before. Use something like QuickBooks or use some type of accounting, bookkeeping software to help track your expenses. If you are a person who's, going to send out like invoices and contracts, make sure you got that down. If you're a contractor, any type of work you do where somebody's got to pay you, make sure you have a way to track your invoices and have people sign contracts. Make sure you have that business bank account. Remember, business bank account is so crucial. You do not want to commingle funds. Do not mix your business and personal funds together. We talked about this on the last episode. Don't do it. Get yourself a business bank account. There are plenty out there to choose from. Whether you want to go to one of the national banks or even what are they called? Credit unions, which are actually a little bit better for, a little bit more lenient with people as far as like funding goes. Or if you don't want to have a physical location, you can just do something online, a fintech company. Like I said, I use Novo. There's Relay. There's Bluevine. Bunch of different options you have. You see which one works best for you, utilize them. But keep your separate business and personal income on two different sides of the field. Automation keeps you consistent. And consistency in organization keeps the IRS happy. All right. So, again, it wouldn't be a Millennial Gems episode if we didn't talk about having a mindset shift. So, some of you might be thinking, hey, this is just some extra money. But again, when you treat your side hustle like a business, the money starts treating you differently. Once you open that business bank account, track your income, claim your deductions, pay yourselves, that's how you turn side hustles into six-figure freedom vehicles. You have to learn the game of investing. This is 2025. You literally don't have a choice now but to learn how to invest, but to find a way to make more income. I'm telling you, that one source of income is not going to fly anymore, especially if you want to change your life for the better. I know for damn sure I've been on this journey for 5 years. I don't want to die an employee. I want to be able to take care of my immediate family and the family that I create later down the line. But I have to do the necessary things that I have to do now to place myself in that position. So any side hustle you do, don't half-ass it. Treat it like an actual business. That is your business. Treat it like it. And don't let nobody dictate how you run your business. So you're probably thinking now, all right, you might need some help figuring out these things before tax season hits, right? Well, you know what? If you head to Millennial Gems Financial Solutions, book your tax-free prep consultation, or if you need some bookkeeping, if you are a business owner, we will set up your bookkeeping system. We can help you organize your side hustle income and, make sure we help you plan out your taxes so that way you're not scrambling come April. And don't forget, if you do need a checklist for what you need during tax season, you can go to the website and you can download that file for free. It's millennialgemsbk.com. It's a free download. Also, I have my A to Z deductions checklist, which you can also download if you are a business owner for all the possible deductions that you can take. Until then, it's not just about making money, it's about keeping it. I'll see you all in the next time. Peace.